Now. Now.
Okay, you can hear me in the jail?
Yeah, everybody's here, everybody has the paperwork.
Thank you. On the record, in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Otis LaPriest Aubrey. Counsel appearance.
Assistant Public Defender Sarah Donnelly on behalf of the defendant for the purposes of arraignment only while he appears separately from the Lansing Police Department.
You can step forward, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you're Mr. Aubrey?
Yes.
Okay, today's the date, excuse me, and the time set for arraignment. I have here a felony complaint that alleges that on or about November 24th, 2023, in the area of Vermont Avenue between 1529 New York Ave, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan, that you did allegedly contrary to law commit the act in count 1, police officer fleeing 3rd degree under the penal code. The allegations are that while being the operator of a motor vehicle to whom was given a visual or audible signal by hand, voice, emergency light, or siren by Officer Caitlin Miller, a police officer who was in uniform and officer's motor vehicle was identified as an official police motor vehicle, acting in the lawful performance of her duty, directing the defendant to bring his motor vehicle to a stop, did willfully fail to obey such direction by increasing the speed of the motor vehicle or by attempting to flee or elude the officer in the area where the speed limit was 35 miles per hour or less, contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 750.47983. This is a felony with the maximum penalty being 5 years in prison and or $5,000 in fines. Secretary of State shall suspend the operator's or chauffeur's license for a vessel privileged to operate shall be suspended for a period of not to exceed 5 years. There is a habitual offender 4th offense notice here. It says, take notice that the defendant was previously convicted of 3 or more felonies or attempts to commit felonies, and that on or about February 26, 2020, he was convicted of the offense of domestic violence 3rd offense in violation of MCL 750.814 in the 30th Circuit Court for Ingham County, State of Michigan. And that on or about July 12, 2012, he was convicted of the offense of home invasion 3rd degree in violation of MCL 750.1104A in the 30th Circuit Court for Ingham County, State of Michigan. And that on or about March 9, 2011, he was convicted of the offense of police officer assault, resist, obstruct, and in violation of Michigan Compiled Law 750.81D1 in the 30th Circuit Court for Ingham County, State of Michigan. Therefore, the defendant is subject to the penalties provided by Michigan Compiled Law 769.12 that enhances the maximum penalty in count 1 to life if the primary offense has a penalty of 5 years or more, 15 years or less if the primary offense has a penalty under 5 years, and the maximum penalty cannot be less than the maximum term for the first conviction. And so, do you understand the charge being sought in the maximum penalty with the habitual offender 4th offense notice, sir?
That's a lot of time. I didn't even do nothing.
Well, the charge, that is a lot of time. The charge here is police officer fleeing elude 3rd degree under the penal code. That is a primary offense with a penalty of 5 years and or $5,000, which means with the habitual offender 4th offense notice, you would be facing life if convicted. Do you understand the maximum penalty and the charge there?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, thank you. And so you have the right to be represented by an attorney, and you are represented today by Mrs. Donnelly from the Office of the Public Defender. She's here only for the purpose of your arraignment. You have the right to have an attorney represent you at each stage of the criminal prosecution. You have the right to have an attorney represent you if you're questioned by law enforcement. If you cannot afford to hire an attorney, you can make a request to have the Public Defender's Office appointed to represent you at the expense of the public. Do you understand your right to counsel?
Yes, John.
You have the right to plead guilty, you have the right to plead not guilty, and you have the right to stand mute. If you stand mute, this matter will proceed all the way up to a jury trial in the circuit court. You have the right in this matter to have a preliminary examination, and you have the right to have your preliminary examination within 21 days of today's date being the date of your arraignment. At the time of your preliminary examination, you have the right to require the prosecution to put forth sufficient evidence to establish whether or not they have probable cause sufficient to charge you with a crime, and probable cause sufficient to establish that a crime was actually committed. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You have the right to proceed to jury trial. At the time of trial, you have the right to the presumption of innocence, so you're innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to require the prosecution to prove each element of the charge being brought against you beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to see, hear, or question in court any of the witnesses that the prosecutor calls against you. You have the right to call your own witnesses to your jury trial. And you have the right to present evidence at trial that you believe further a defense to this charge. You also have the right to remain silent and not have silence be used against you. Do you have any questions about your rights at this time?
No, I don't. I don't got it. No, y'all got it.
Very good. For the purposes of your arraignment, the court will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. Ms. Donnelly, was he requesting court-appointed counsel?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and Mr. Arbery, you're currently scheduled to have a probable cause conference before Judge Cynthia Ward, November 30th, 2023 at 9:30 in the morning. You can appear via Zoom or in person for that proceeding. You have an in-person preliminary examination before Judge Ward, December 7th, 2023 at 9 o'clock in the morning. Did you get a copy of your notice to appear in her her Zoom instructions?
Yes, I got a copy. Yep.
Oh, okay. What's your home address, sir?
2713 Narragansett Drive.
Say that again without yawning or having your hand over your mouth.
2717 Narragansett Drive.
Okay. Are you currently employed?
Yes.
Where is that?
Work at Woodbridge Factory.
What's your phone number?
269-266-5961.
Are you currently on probation or on parole?
No, ma'am.
You have any other matters currently pending?
No, ma'am.
Have you missed court in the past?
No, not lately. No, I haven't.
Not lately?
No, I was always incarcerated, so I always made it to court. I never skipped court.
Okay. Counsel, you can address bond.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Aubrey reports that he is from Lansing. He's got his family here. He just started his job a couple of weeks ago. And he also reports that his hand is currently in a cast. He broke it a couple of days ago, and he's supposed to have surgery this week. And they were supposed to contact him for that, Your Honor. So considering he's not on probation, parole, or bond anywhere else, and that he's from the area and he's working, I would ask the court for a personal recognizance bond. Thank you.
A personal recognizance bond will be granted in the amount of $2,500 personal recognizance. While out on bond, you have the following conditions. You need to make sure you appear to all of your court dates, okay, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
You also need to get prior approval from the court before traveling outside the state. You're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior. You're not to use or possess any drugs or alcohol unless you have a valid prescription. You're not to possess a firearm or any other dangerous weapon, and you need to report to pretrial services no later than Monday, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions about your bond conditions?
Oh, ma'am.
Any additional matters for the record on this file, counsel?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you're all set, sir.
Thank you.
On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Justin Gonzalez, file number 23-02835, counsel appearance.
Assistant Public Defender Sarah Donnelly on behalf of the defendant for the purposes of arraignment only while he appears separately from the Lansing Police Department.
Are you Justin Gonzalez?
Yes, I am, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Gonzalez, today's the date that we're addressing a bench warrant for failure to appear. You were scheduled to be before Judge Ward back on October 30th at 9 a.m. You failed to appear, and so a bench warrant was issued and your bond was revoked. You previously failed to appear October 10th and October 2nd. You also had a PA 53, which is a bond violation hearing that was scheduled on October 30th, and you failed to appear, and so a bench warrant was issued. So you have the right in the bond violation to have a contested hearing, and you were previously arraigned on that. And so that matter will be reset for hearing. And then your pretrial before Judge Ward will also have to be reset. Did you forget that you had court?
Did not forget I had court. I just had a lot of things going on. And it's no excuse, but I didn't do nothing really wrong. I just didn't come to court. I'm just trying to get my life together. I did a lot of moving around, and I've just been working every day, to be honest with you.
Okay. Okay, well, your matter before Judge Ward is gonna be reset to December 11th at 10:30, okay?
Okay.
Counsel, you can address bond.
Your Honor, I have nothing further to add than what Mr. Gonzalez said.
Okay, sounds good. I'm going to remand you to see Judge Ward. She can issue a bond if she'd like. You've missed court 3 times on this. Both times you failed to appear. You didn't really have a reasonable excuse to do that. So this matter needs to be resolved and your bond violations need to be addressed. We're not gonna keep tracking you down for you to go to court. I don't care how much you got going on. You're all set.
That's up to you.
Have a good one.
You too, thank you.
On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Adam Leonard, file number 23-02775. Council appearance.
Assistant Public Defender Sarah Donnelly on behalf of the defendant for the purpose of agreement only while he appears separately from the Lansing Police Department.
Can you step forward, Mr. Leonard?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, today's the date and the time set for an arraignment. I do have a misdemeanor complaint here. It alleges, Mr. Leonard, that on or about April 10th, 2023, at the area of 111 North Grand Avenue, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan, that you did allegedly contrary to law commit the act in count 1 of domestic violence. The allegations are that you did make an assault or assault and battery upon a Brenda Griffin, an individual with whom you had a dating relationship, and that this was done contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 750.812. If convicted, restitution may be ordered, as this offense may have resulted in damage to another individual's property or physical injury or death to another individual. This is a misdemeanor with a maximum penalty of 93 days in jail and or $500 in fines, and a consecutive sentence may be imposed under the law if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. And do you understand the charge and the maximum penalty attached?
Yes, ma'am.
You have the right to be represented by counsel. Ms. Donnelly is representing you solely for the purposes of your arraignment. You have the right to have an attorney represent you at each stage of your criminal prosecution, and you have the right to have an attorney to represent you if you're going to be questioned by law enforcement. If you cannot afford to hire an attorney, you can make a request to have the public defender's office represent you at the expense of the public. Do you have an understanding of your right to counsel at this time, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have the right to plead guilty, plead not guilty, or stand mute. If you stand mute, this matter will proceed to trial. You have the right to jury trial. At the time of jury trial, you have the right to the presumption of innocence. So you're innocent, sir, until proven guilty, and you have the right to require the prosecutor to prove your guilt at trial by proving each element of the charge of domestic violence beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to remain silent at your trial and not have silence be used against you. You have the right to confront and cross-examine in court any of the witnesses and your accuser at the time of your trial. You have the right to call your own witnesses to your trial or present evidence at trial that you believe further defense to the charge being brought against you. And you also have the right to be considered for pretrial release from custody. Do you have any questions about your rights at this time?
No, ma'am.
Is he requesting court-appointed counsel?
Yes, Your Honor.
The court will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf, Mr. Leonard. And you are scheduled for a pretrial conference before Judge Tony Flores on November 28th at 9:30. Did you get a copy of the notice to appear?
Yes, ma'am.
That's rather quick, so I'm sure that there won't be any exchange of discovery or even, I don't know if you'll even have an attorney by then. November 28th is on Tuesday. Nonetheless, we'll let the public defender's office work that out. And so, have you ever missed court in the past, sir?
Oh, ma'am.
Are you currently on probation or on parole?
Oh, ma'am.
I see a home invasion from 2020 that was bound over to this 34th Circuit Court. Did that matter get resolved?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you currently employed?
Yes, ma'am.
Where are you employed?
It's called Mod Dieters. It's a restaurant in Luzerne, Michigan.
Can you spell that?
M-A, like a ma, you know, and then Dieters, D-E-E-T-E-R-S.
Okay. What's your phone number?
Area code 989-293-5695.
And your home address?
Ms. Donnelly, I might need your assistance with that question as we discussed earlier.
Your Honor, I'll explain it. He currently lives at a hotel in Mio, Michigan, but he doesn't have a mailing address for that because they can't get mail there. So he gets mail at his, is it your mother's in Garden City?
My best friend, he's actually a
best
police
friend.
officer. Yes.
Okay. So that's the situation. He doesn't exactly know the address for the hotel itself, but he has his mailing address.
Okay, is this Roslyn Ave the mailing address?
Yes,
Rockland
ma'am.
Ave, yes.
Roslyn, yes. I'll definitely get whatever there. Like I said, that gentleman's a Detroit police officer, so he makes sure I get it whether I want it or not. Trust me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Counsel, you can address bond.
Thank you, Your Honor. As Mr. Leonard has stated, he works in Oscoda County and he's had his job for 8 months, waiting tables, and he reports that he doesn't live with the complaining witness in this case. Considering that it happened in April, it seems like they've pretty much been able to stay no contact, so I don't believe there'll be any problems with him continuing that. Like he said, he's not on probation or parole or bond anywhere, so I'd be recommending a personal recognizance bond. Thank you.
Bond will be set in the amount of $500 personal recognizance with a no contact order in place for the protection of the alleged victim, Brenda Griffin. You're not to be within 1,500 feet of wherever Brenda Griffin is, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
You're not to have contact directly or indirectly with Brenda Griffin. Do you have any questions about what that might mean?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so you can't cause anybody else to have any communication with her on your behalf. You need to make sure you appear to all of your future court dates. While out on bond, you're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior. You're not to use, purchase, or possess drugs or alcohol unless you have a valid prescription. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. You're not to possess a firearm or any other dangerous weapon. Do you have any questions at this time about your bond conditions?
No, ma'am.
Any additional matters for the record, counsel?
Your Honor, just to ask you said this was before Judge Flores on Tuesday?
It's on before Judge Flores on the 28th of November. So yeah, this is Tuesday.
Just want to make sure I got the right judge. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. You're all set, Mr. Leonard.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. That's all I have.
Yep, thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Have a good
Have a
one.
good day, Judge Simmons. Thank
You too.